Welcome on in, fight fans, to another exciting edition of the Undercard. As always, I'm your host, Jeff Botello. We got lots to talk about today. We finally got some Bellator news to talk about, plus we are going to be doing a full fight card prediction for UFC 258. Get things started, Bellator on Tuesday had announced that they are going to be partnering up with Showtime. Now, back in 2018, Bellator had signed a deal with DAZN for a 5-year contract, and that deal will be shortly coming to an end. And it looks like Scott Coker is just trying to be proactive and continue to grow the promotion. Not entirely sure of the details of the deal, but one can speculate Bellator felt that they were not growing enough with DAZN. Looks as if they've already parted ways with DAZN, as Bellator has already announced that this was an exclusive deal with Showtime. It's been a minute since we've seen Showtime air any MMA. You would have to go all the way back to 2013 when they were working with Strikeforce. So clearly Scott Coker and Showtime have some history together. As for the Showtime deal, they will be offering a 30-day free trial, and then after it's only $4.99 a month for the next 6 months. And then after that, it's a regular $10.99, which if you think about it, it's a great deal if you consider all the other great programming offered with Showtime. DAZN only really offered you sports, which, don't get me wrong, I was very cool with, but your average person does not want to spend money on a sports-only programming. You know, I feel this is a smart move for Bellator, and it'll help the company grow its fan base with your everyday casual fan. Bellator already has a deal in place with CBS, so with the addition of Showtime, you can bet that they are trying to rival the UFC. They've got the roster to do it currently. Smart move by Bellator. I like what they are doing with this deal. That's not the only Bellator news we got on Tuesday. Like I said, it was a big day of announcements, and they dropped that there's going to be an 8-man tournament for the light heavyweight division, and there are some great opening round matchups. Nemkov versus Davis is going to be a crazy fight. Guaranteed that someone is going to get starched in that one. Also pumped to watch the Rumble versus Romero, two former UFC fighters squaring off against one another. This is going to be a good move for Romero, as I felt he is going to have a much easier time making weight at the light heavyweight division. Romero did have a few issues making weight at 185 previously, and even though he had seemed to put those issues behind him, this move to light heavy won't be taxing on the body for the aging Romero, who is currently 43 years young. This one is going to be a great battle, and I just can't wait for these two heavy hitters to get in there and swap some paint. Bellator also announced that the Flyweight Grand Prix will finally also be getting back under action starting April the 2nd. This one is going to be featuring a bout between the current champion, Patricio Pitbull, versus Emmanuel Sanchez. And this is going to be a slugfest. But you also make sure to not sleep on that May 7th card. Juan Archuleta versus Sergio Pettis. That's going to be another crazy fight. That fight will be for the bantamweight title. On a side note, Bellator had stripped Pitbull of this title and crowned Archuleta the champ, which I think is a bit strange. If you're a fighter, you want to earn the right to wear that belt. You can bet that this will be a sore spot for a guy like Archuleta. Archuleta is going to be extra motivated in this one, and he will be looking to make a statement in that fight. So, told you at the top of the show we had lots to talk about today, and finally we're going to get you some fight predictions. UFC 258 is shaping up to be such a great card, and there are so many interesting fights in this. Ton of young talent on this card as well. You don't want to miss any of the action, as the early prelims are set to deliver some exciting fights. Early prelims are set to kick off at 6 p.m. this Saturday. Our first fight of the evening is a battle in the women's flyweight division, as one of my favorites, Jillian the Savage Roberts, takes on Miranda Fear the Maverick. Got two young guns in this fight, as both fighters have an extensive ground game. You can bet Jillian will be looking to take this one to the ground, as that's really her greatest strength. By no means will Jillian have an easy time with Miranda on the ground. I watched that fight Miranda had versus Pearl Gonzalez, and Maverick was able to defend against a 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu vet. Jillian unfortunately did not look good in her last outing versus Tila Santos. I know she was originally training for Andrea Lee, and that may have had something to do with the L that she took. However, if I was Miranda's camp, and you bet they took some notes on Jillian's last scrap and noticed what I noticed. Jillian's hands, unfortunately, are not that great, and she was never able to get anything going in that last fight versus the superior striking of Santos. Another fight in which Jillian did not look good in was yet again another striking battle versus Macy Barber, with that one ending with a TKO. One hopes that Jillian has made vast improvements in her striking game, as this is sort of becoming a glaring weakness in her game. I expect Miranda to keep this one on the feet and to make this an uncomfortable fight for Jillian. No surprises with the odd makers in this one, as Miranda is currently the favorite, coming in at a minus 138. Jillian is a Canadian much like myself, so deep down I want her to win. However, if I'm putting money down on this, it's going to be Miranda. Sorry, Jillian. This fight has the potential to be an expose of world-class groundwork, but it's going to be a question of, can Jillian take Miranda to the ground? Okay, so the second fight of the night features a clash in the welterweight divisions between Gabe Green and Philip Rowe. Some of you may remember Rowe from Dana White's Contender Series, where he was able to secure a win over Leon via KO. After Rowe turned pro, he got off to a rocky start, losing his first 2 fights, but since then, Rowe has turned it around and he's been on an absolute tear with an impressive 7-fight win streak. His opponent Green, unfortunately, was not able to secure a victory in his UFC debut, losing to Daniel Rodriguez via unanimous decision. Taking a look at how these 2 welterweights win, you can see that both men possess the same skill set. Looks like this fight may just come down to who has got the bigger gas tank. Oddmakers have this one at minus 130 for Gabriel Green, which I thought was kind of strange, but I guess they're basing this one on age, I guess. I would have thought for sure Rowe would have been the slight favorite in this one, as he is currently on the 7-fight win streak. Now, I will admit I have not seen too much of these 2 fighters, but I feel that if this one stays on the feet, it's going to be to the advantage of Rowe. Green also fights at the 155 division, and he's a bit out of his weight class in this one, jumping all the way up to the 170 mark. I also noticed that Bellator used to use Green in some of their past fights in their local shows in California, but for whatever reason, he was never signed. Kind of makes you wonder why he was never given that Bellator contract. Love him or hate him, Scott Croker does have an eye for talent. So, I know the odds are with Green in this one, but I'm getting off of that train and putting my coin down on Rowe for the KO win. Man, there are going to be so many great fights, and to end the early prelims, they're going to give us another excellent scrap. It's just so loaded, this fight card. I can't believe how great this is. So, be closing the prelims. We're going to be closing it out in the flyweight division between 2 fierce competitors. Ricky Simon versus Ryan Keller. Ricky Simon is looking to have a much more active year in 2021, as this will be already his 2nd fight in the UFC. We last seen Ricky back in January 20th, where he was able to secure a 2nd round victory via arm triangle over Perillo. These fighters are starting to see the benefits of staying active, and we have seen many stars shine bright on what should have been a complete down year for the sports during the pandemic. Look what it's done for guys like Kevin Holland and Khamzat Chimaev. Ricky is in tough this Saturday night versus Keller. I'm surprised that Vegas odds makers have this one so heavily favored for Simeon, as he is currently coming in at minus 250. I feel it's a little disrespectful towards Brian, as a bit of a wild card in this division, and the man comes to fight. Both fighters have a 3-2 record in their last 5 fights. Personally, it's hard for me to count Brian out of this fight. I just know what a warrior the guy is. And I've counted him out in the past before, and it's come back to bite me. Ricky has improved his ground game and is getting better with each fight, so it'll be interesting to see where this fight goes. Keller's got a solid ground game. I know I said it's hard for me to bid against Keller, but I'm sure this will come back to bite me again in the rear, but I do see Ricky's reach advantage playing a major factor in this one. If you're betting, I would more than likely stay away from this one, as this could easily go either way. But I'm going to pick Ricky for this one, and I have a feeling that this is going to be a war. I am so looking forward to this fight. It is one of more of the intriguing matchups of the evening. Well, this next fight kicks things off for the preliminary card, as well as we got us a catchweight fight between Andre Ewell versus Chris Couturier. This fight was not originally on the card, but on Tuesday we found out we lost Pedro Munoz versus Jaime Rivera. This one will take its place. As much as I'm heartbroken over the fact that we lost the fight, the UFC has done a great job at finding us a fun one to watch, and it's not often that we get to see a catchweight fight. Of these two men, Ewell is the much taller fighter but competes in the smaller bantamweight division, compared to his opponent, who is the much smaller of the two fighters but will be enjoying a weight advantage. Well, at least on paper. It'll be interesting to see what these guys weigh come fight night. Both men are primarily strikers and both have 7 KO wins, so if this stays on the feet, I feel Ewell uses his range effectively and throws that jab out all night, and he should be relatively safe in this one. Couturier is looking to take this one to the ground, as he is becoming more of a complete fighter, and I feel that if he gets his opponent to the canvas, he'll be able to outmuscle him there. This is a fight that you should avoid putting money down, as this could really go either way, and the odd makers reflect that, with Couturier's coming in at -150. I'm picking Couturier's in this one. I'm going to call it a decision win. Okay, so our next fight showcases some great young talent in the women's strawweight division. We have got Polyana Viana versus Mallory Martin. This is going to be an epic battle. For yous that don't know, Mallory is part of the Elevation fight team out in Denver, Colorado. Right now, one would have to say they are one of the best camps out there, if not the best camp in North America. I mean, just look at the steeple of fighters they have training in that camp right now. You've got Curtis Blades, Corey Sanhagen, Justin Gaethje, Alistair Overeem, Neil Magny, Drew Dauber. Those are some pretty big names in the UFC right now. Okay, so maybe 3 of those 6 may not be in the mix for a title shot. I mean, Overeem just lost to Volkov, and that's kind of put an end to his quest for gold. But Drew is on a 3-fight win streak, and with a few more wins, if he can get a big name, be launched into superstardom. And as for Magny, he's still a top 10. He's still in the top 10. He just lost to Chiesa, but once he gets back to winning ways, he'll be in the mix in that division yet again. As for the 3 others, Curtis Blades, Corey Sanhagen, and Justin Gaethje, they're all sniffing around for a shot at that gold currently. So with people like that in your camp, Mallory has a plethora of knowledge to draw from, and we should see an even better version of herself in this one. In her last fight, she got knocked down early, but showed the strength and resilience that's needed to become an elite-level fighter. By no means will it be an easy fight for Mallory, as she will be facing off against a deadly submission expert from Brazil. Polyana Viana has got a 100% finish rate. So what does that mean? Well, when she wins, she wins. No decisions for this young woman. Viviana is a straight-up assassin. I don't know if y'all remember, but she was involved in a street mugging a few years back. And as you can imagine, this dude picked the wrong little lady to try and mug. Let's just say she made quick work of that dude. On a side note, ladies, do yourself a world of good. Get to a jiu-jitsu class, for the love of God. You don't have to train to be a world beater of any sorts. but I will assure you that when push comes to shove, you'll have the knowledge and the ability to protect yourself on the ground. I think the government should subsidize a big portion of the training fee and actually do something to empower women. All right, back to the fights. As for picking a winner in this one, ooh, this is another tough one. I may be in for a rough weekend of picks, folks. It'll be interesting to see if Mallory can keep this one on the feet, because if she can, I feel she takes this win easily. But if this ends up on the ground, this could go either way. Odd makers have Mallory at minus 155. I would not put money down on this fight, to be honest. I would stay away from this one at all costs. But I'm going to have to pick Mallory for this fight. You know, I just really liked what she showed in her last performance, and I feel that she has the ability and the grit to make this into a ugly battle. I expect this one to go the distance. There is going to be a ton of back and forth between these two fighters, and it should make for very entertaining scrap. Mallory will need to make sure not to get caught in Viviana's deadly ground game, but be patient and look for her openings and pick her shots for some good old ground and pound. All right, so the next fight comes at the welterweight division. We got the brother of Bellator welterweight champion Douglas Lima fighting in this one. Diego Lima versus Belal Muhammad. I can't believe that the odd makers have this one so heavily favored for Belal. Currently, he is sitting at minus 400. Not really sure why. Both fighters are on a 3-fight win streak. Lima has a slight 3-inch reach advantage. Not that that will be a big advantage in this fight. Belal's finishing rate is only a mere 29% compared to Lima's, who is currently over 50%. It looks like the odds are this way because Diego's last 2 fights were split decisions, whereas his opponent Belal has easily won via unanimous decision. In fact, of his 12 decision wins, only 1 has been a split decision. I know odds have this one for Belal, but I think the year off for Lima did him some good, and you know he's been putting in that work with his baby bro. I just feel the longer this fight goes, the better it is for Lima to land that KO shot. This one is really more of a gut feeling than anything else, to be honest with you. All right, so to end the prelims, we got a fight in the middleweight division featuring undefeated fighter and ground specialist Rodolfo the Black Belt Hunter Vieira versus Anthony Hernandez. You know, with a name like the Black Belt Hunter, that this is one seriously bad dude. Hernandez is a ground guy as well, but I'm not quite sure he's rolled with a guy like Vieira. It sucks when you go into a fight and your strengths are your opponent's strengths. You know, it makes for a very rough night. Hernandez is going to need to keep this one on the feet if he hopes to win. I can't imagine he wants any part of that ground game, to be honest with you. Hernandez did take a beating by the hands of Kevin Holland in May last year, so you can bet he's going to be a little bit cautious out there. Tough fight to come back to after being off for almost a year, but this is the UFC, and there ain't no easy fights. Odd makers have Vieira coming in at minus 350. Not going to rock the boat on this one, as I'm picking Vieira to remain undefeated and improve his record to 8-0. Going to call this one a second round submission, I think. All right, on to the main card. To open up the main card, we have us a fight between Makai Pitlo versus Julian Marquez, and this one is going to be in the middleweight division. This is going to be a bounce back fight for one of these two fighters, as both men are coming off a loss in their last fight. This is going to be a fun one to watch. I don't expect this one to go the distance at all. Someone is going to leap in this one, guaranteed. Odds have Marquez only a slight favorite, as he is currently minus 162. I also agree with the odds makers on this one for a few different reasons. Like I had mentioned before, Elevation Fight Team is one of the premier camps in North America, as well as Syndicate, and that is Marquez's camp. The other reason is that since Makai has entered the UFC, he is only 2-3 and has not really impressed as of late. This is a good fight for Makai, as he needs to make the most out of this favorable fight. And what do I mean by this being a favorable fight? Well, his opponent likes to stand there and trade shots. This is going to be a good fight, and it's not going to be going to the ground. Like I says, entertaining matchup, and this will be a fun one to watch. I'm going to go and predict Marquez with a knockout in the second round. We now move down a division in the next fight for yet again another fun fight between Jim Miller and Bobby Green. Bobby has been one of the more active fighters in 2020, having 4 fights and going 3-1 in those 4 scraps. Miller was also busy in 2020 for a total of three fights, but 2020 was not really his year, as he only went 1-2. This is another one of those bounce back fights where someone is going to get to right the ship and the other one is going to get a 2-fight losing streak. This is going to be a war of attrition. You know, Miller is going to be looking to take this to the ground and look for a submission. Bobby's got a solid ground game, but I can't really imagine he wants to be on the ground at all versus Jim. Odds have Bobby at a comfortable -250 lead, and it's hard to bet against it. I'm taking Bobby in this one purely for the fact that he has the athleticism to keep Jim on the outside, chasing him for a takedown, which can get you in trouble. If Jim can't take him to the ground, this will be a long night as Bobby throws more strikes per minute than Miller does. I'm telling you, this whole card is just stacked. This next fight, yet again, another fun fight to watch. We got Kevin Gastelum versus Ian Heinrich. Someone is going to go out on backs in this one. Both men have similar records, and I'm not surprised to see the odds where they are. One would have guessed them to have been a little bit closer, but of these two men, the Calvin is currently riding a 3-fight losing streak. He got heel hooked early in his last fight, and before that one, he lost a split decision to Darren Till, and before that, lost a unanimous decision over Israel Adesanya. Ian Heinrich, on the other hand, is coming off of a win in his last fight. However, this is a big step up in competition for Ian, as this is the first chance to put a big name on his record, and the KO win over Calvin would help launch Ian's career. I also picking Calvin to snap his 3-fight win streak in this one and get back to winning ways. Other than his last fight where he got heel hooked early, he did not look too bad versus Till and did about as well as you can against Izzy. I just don't think Ian has faced competition like this, and I just feel this fight favors Gastelum. But you never know. They are going to be standing there and trading blows, so everyone's got a puncher's chance, you know? Regardless of the outcome, this fight should have some fireworks. Now, on to the co-main event. This fight features 2 of the baddest young women on the planet, and this is going to be an all-out war. Future is bright in the women's flyweight division, and perhaps no more so brighter than Macy Barber. Now, it's been some time since we've seen Macy in the ring, as the last time she was in the ring, she unfortunately blew out her ACL and suffered her first defeat. However, you can bet Macy is looking to go out there and make a statement against Alexa Grasso. Alexa is going to be Macy's toughest fight to date and is going to give us a real indication of where Macy's striking is at. Because as to date, Macy has just steamrolled everyone she's faced pretty much. Alexa has very good boxing skills and is the early betting favorite, as she is currently -120. Very close in this one, and this is going to be such an entertaining fight. I just feel though Macy has maybe a bit looked over in this one because of her age and the fact that she has been out of the octagon for so long. Maybe people kind of forgot about her, but I'm telling you, Macy has that special it factor. You know what I mean? She's a special talent. Mark my words, Macy will be a champion someday. This is going to be a tough fight for Macy, but in the end, I'm giving her the nod. This now leaves us with the main event. Former teammates now turned combatants. Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. Since Gilbert has moved up in weight division, he has been on an absolute tear, putting together an impressive 6-fight win streak. However, the champion, Kamaru Usman, has yet to taste defeat in the UFC, and he himself is currently on a 16-fight win streak. Apparently, coming out of the camps of these former teammates, we are starting to get some rumors that Gilbert used to get the better of Usman versus training. I, for one, can't imagine it being so one-sided, but sometimes there are some truth to these whispers. Regardless of the rumors, these two men know who got the better of who. But things are different this time around, and this is going to be the first time Burns fights for UFC gold. We have seen Usman's game evolve over the years, and he's gone from primarily a wrestler to developing some of the greatest hands in the UFC, and we got to watch that on full display over the last 3 fights. Odds have Usman at minus 280, and I would say that's where my money is going to land on this fight. Can't really pay attention to all the rumors that fly around out there. I'm just going off of Tyrone's fights against these two competitors, and I felt that Kamaru put on a more dominating performance than Gilbert did over Woodley. It'll be interesting to see if Gilbert tries to take this one to the ground and submit him. Maybe that's what the rumors were all about. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. All right, y'all. Thanks again for joining me. Greatly appreciated. Make sure to hit that sub button, and we'll drop another show here after the fights. Peace.